At the Concacaf U20 Championship, where 4 teams will earn a ticket to the U20 World Cup and 8 will go home without one. I'm Donnie Barnes. We see the weather conditions in Puebla today. 81 degrees. It's a beautiful day. We are at elevation here in Mexico, about 7,000 feet above sea level. It is the rainy season, so things could pop up, but not much in the forecast. It's looking like a great day for championship soccer. Here's the Group B makeup at the start of this tournament. Antigua and Barbuda, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Mexico, all in Group B. It's a tough draw for these two teams then, Costa Rica and Guatemala, with the defending champions, the host nation, Mexico, who are massive favorites to win the group and indeed to win this tournament for what would be a record 15th time in their history at this age level. So the onus is really on these two teams here today to at least avoid defeat, and a win for either one of them would go a long way towards possibly advancing to the quarterfinals. The way this tournament format works, 12 nations, 3 groups of 4. Now the top 2 in each group automatically advance, plus the 2 best third-place finishers. 8 teams in total into the knockout rounds. As we see Guatemala's senior national team head coach there in the picture, and other of their supporters who have traveled here to support them will be here throughout the tournament as well. But getting to those quarterfinals, 8 out of the 12 teams will advance to those quarterfinals, and those quarters become essentially 4 individual finals. If you win your quarterfinal, you are then going to the 2027 FIFA U20 World Cup in Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan. But if you lose your quarterfinal, or if you don't get there in the first place, then the cycle's over. There's no second chance. Those 4 quarterfinal winners also punch their tickets to the Pan American Games in Lima next year, and the champion of this tournament qualifies for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. So massive stakes, not just in competing for regional supremacy, but in qualifying for multiple tournaments over the next 2 years as well. Mexico, the defending champions in this competition. Morocco, the reigning U20 world champions. These two sides hoping to be at that next U20 World Cup in 2027. The quest begins today. Defeat is unthinkable. Guatemala and Costa Rica coming up next.
Por favor, pónganse de pie para escuchar respetuosamente el himno nacional de Guatemala.
Guatemala feliz, que tus aras no profane jamás el verdugo. Ni haya esclavos que llaman el yugo, ni tiranos que escupan tu paz. Si mañana tu suelo sagrado lo amenaza invasión extranjera, tu hermosa bandera, a vencer o a morir amará. Por la nave de su héroe, al de todo y el águila real, de sus alas levantas al cielo, Guatemala su nombre inmortal.
Damas y caballeros, por favor, mantenerse de pie para escuchar de manera respetuosa el himno nacional de Costa Rica.
As with any national team tournament, these two sides have been training for this moment for months. They've been in their own training camps for the past few weeks. A larger provisional roster has been trimmed down to what we see here today. And this is the moment they've been training for, the chance to take to the pitch, wearing their nation's colors, singing their nation's anthem, trying to qualify for a U20 World Cup. Here's the starting 11 for Guatemala, named by head coach Sebastian Bini. Keep an eye on Marvin Avila up front. He is named as La Maxima Figura in this Guatemalan U20 side by the Guatemalan media. He's already debuted for their senior national team. Alvaro Medrano is in goal for them. A back four through the midfield. They're listed in a 4-4-2. We'll see how things shift once the game kicks off. Guatemala in their white kits with the turquoise blue sash here today. Both teams in their traditional colors as the captains meet in the middle of the pitch. And we meet our match officials for this one, led by Adonis Carrasco of the Dominican Republic, Jose Barre, Sash Ramsarup, and Eric De La Cruz are the others. De La Cruz, the fourth official from Cuba for this one. Selvin Sagastume wears the armband for Guatemala. Matias Cordero does the same for Costa Rica. Here's the VAR room for this tournament opener. It is led by Randy Encarnacion of the Dominican Republic and assisted by Tatiana Guzman of Nicaragua. And now the starting 11 for Los Ticos of Costa Rica, named by head coach Randall Rowe. Ian O'Rourke is in goal for them. Matias Cordero, we just saw him wearing the armband meeting at midfield with the referees. He is 6'7", one of the tallest players at this tournament. Ferrier, Palmer, Hernandez, and Gatto across the midfield. Cibaja and Sosa up front for them. Adrian Espinoza in that defense, by the way, just 16 years old, and called into action in this opener due to some injuries right before the tournament in this Costa Rican side. So we'll see how he does with lots of pressure on him today. There is Adonis Carrasco, who will take charge of this one on a bright, sunny afternoon at 7,000 feet above sea level here in Puebla. Shortly after the conclusion of this one, it will be Mexico, the host nation and defending champions, taking to the pitch against Antigua and Barbuda in their tournament opener. The start of over 2 weeks in this competition to crown another champion at this age level, to decide who will go to the 2027 FIFA U20 World Cup and who qualifies for the Pan American Games as well. Adonis Carrasco ready to get us underway. Guatemala ready to get us underway in those white kits. They will attack from left to right in this first half. Costa Rica in the red with the blue shorts. And we are rolling in Puebla, Mexico, in the opener of the Concacaf U20 Championships on the men's side. Guatemala, Costa Rica. It's a match neither of them dare to lose, with Mexico looming in this group. Remember, just getting to and winning a quarterfinal. If you get to the semifinals of this competition, you earn one of those 4 tickets to the U20 World Cup next year. So the quarterfinals are essentially each a final in their own right. You have to get to that quarterfinal first, and then you have to win it, of course. If you finish at least in the top 2 in your group, you have a much better chance of winning your quarterfinal. We'll explain more in a moment. First attack here for Guatemala down this left side. And it's going to be the first corner of the match as the sliding challenge put in by Yerlan Sosa. And so Guatemala will have the opening set piece in this one. So we mentioned in the opener, 12 teams, 12 nations have qualified for this U20 championship. As we look at Guatemala's head coach, Sebastian Bini of Argentina. Played for Boca Juniors reserves back in the day and has been in Guatemala for about 25 years now. So 12 teams, 8 of them will qualify for the quarterfinals. You want to finish in the top 2 in your group, though. Corner played in, back post, it put into a dangerous area, cleared partially away by Costa Rica, and then blasted wide. And good start for Guatemala. That'll be a goal kick, though, 90 seconds in. There's Costa Rica's head coach, Randall Rowe, who represented Costa Rica with the senior national team back in the day. Also played for Saprissa, one of the biggest clubs in Costa Rica, among others. Also took the U17 Ticos side to the World Cup in Qatar last year. That was the first time Costa Rica had qualified for that U17 World Cup in nearly a decade, and they're in here, and it's an early save for Guatemala's goalkeeper, Alvaro Medrano, as Costa Rica threaten early now. And they look to keep that pressure on. Guatemala looking for a way out, and they find one. It's end-to-end here in the early minutes. Expected an evenly matched game, and two sides that want and need to get off to a good start. Clip down the middle and a back post run, and it just eludes that attacker. The bounce just too tall for Omar Bolaños. Great start to this game now. Costa Rica creating a chance from nowhere out of that goal kick, and it just wasn't dealt with by the Guatemalan defense. And then the strength to create that opportunity by David Gatto, shouldering his defender off the ball and hurling himself in at that. There's a good save from Medrano. Guatemala with more defending to do in their own corner, looking for the foul, and now they get one. Good strong defending from Brian Guerra. So again, with the top two finishers in each group advancing to the quarterfinals, plus the two best third place teams, you might think there's not a big deal between finishing second or finishing third. Well, there is, because of the seeding for the quarterfinals. The way it works in this competition, the 8 teams that qualify for the quarterfinals will get seeded 1 through 8 based on how they finished in the group stage. Those two third place finishers will be seeded 7th and 8th. So you'll be the last 2 seeds if you don't finish at least in the top 2 in your group. And that would mean most likely, of course this isn't a given, but it's widely predicted that the United States and Mexico will finish 1 and 2 in some form. So by finishing in third place, that means you'd likely face either the United States or Mexico in those all-important quarterfinals with a ticket to the U20 World Cup on the line. So if you're any of these other teams in this competition, you very much want to finish at least in the top 2 in your group so that you avoid those 2 giants in the quarterfinals. And that makes this game especially important for these two sides that have very realistic ambitions of at least getting to that World Cup, but find themselves in the same group and also in the same group with Mexico. So if either of them lose this game, it would put them in a big hole right at the start, because they both still have to face Mexico, of course, and even Antigua and Barbuda are much improved in recent years. So they would both absolutely love to win it. As I said at the start, they both know they have to at least not lose. Well, that's a misplaced ball in the center of the park. Costa Rica looking to attack vertically the other way. And here comes David Gatto. Just rolls away from him, and it's smothered by Medrano. Both teams with plenty of attacking intent in these early minutes. Chance for both sides to catch their breath a little bit after those frantic opening minutes. Costa Rica hoping to return to the U20 World Cup for the first time in about a decade, as they'll have a free kick out of their own end. Costa Rica have won this competition twice in the past. Costa Rica will deal with that heavy touch Couple of loose balls in the middle of the park. They get bailed out by a foul, though. And it'll be a free kick for Costa Rica in that center circle. Very late challenge by Omar Bolaños. Guatemala have qualified for the U20 World Cup twice, most recently in 2023. They also were there in 2011. Trying to switch it out to this right side. It's going to be tracked down and trying to get around the edge toward that end line. Jordi Aguilar couldn't quite catch up in a goal kick. Guatemala back in 2011 upset the United States in the quarterfinals of this competition to qualify for that World Cup. That was a shocking result. Huge upset. Left the United States home. At that U20 World Cup 15 years ago, they managed to get out of the group as well with a win against Croatia before losing to Portugal in the round of 16. Last time they were there in 2023, they went out in the group with 3 defeats. Touch off Matias Cordero, out into touch for a Guatemala throw. The last time Costa Rica advanced to the U20 Men's World Cup was in 2017. They got to the round of 16 in that edition. They failed to qualify into the last 3 cycles. Long ball out of the back. Should be simple, and is, for Ian O'Rourke. 17-year-old starting goalkeeper for Costa Rica, who recently signed with Saprissa, again one of the top clubs in Costa Rica historically. Came up through Barcelona's academy in Costa Rica. It's a good dribble through the middle of the park by Yerlan Sosa. Now spreads play for Adrian Espinoza, that 16-year-old who clips it into the box. It's a good ball, asking questions of that Guatemalan defense, which they took a while to answer. Costa Rica starting to assert some control through the middle of the park, and that results in a free kick 10 minutes in. So an attacking set piece coming up for Los Ticos. Brian Guerra with the clear foul. Set piece is always critical in tournament play. Might the opening goal come from one of them here today? Costa Rica hoping it comes right now. It's going to be served in with the left foot, whipped in, great header, but it flashes wide. It was a clever set piece routine. They're claiming a corner, Costa Rica, if they're not going to get one. Guatemala determined to play out from the back. Costa Rica with a throw. These two nations have played 7 times previously in this competition. Costa Rica have won all 7, although the last time was back in 2011, so All these players involved in this game were just past the toddler stage at that point. Oh, that's a wonderful dribble. Costa Rica in again here with Ferrier, who serves it in front. Last-ditch clearance from inside the 6-yard area. Had to be made by Guatemala and was. And that ball went out of play. It'll be a throw for Costa Rica, who nearly had the opening goal. Well, into a great area. And Dax Palmer couldn't quite reach it initially, and then it was cleared. This ball is hammered so far wide, it goes out for a throw on the other side of the field. It's been a good spell of pressure from Costa Rica after Guatemala opened the game well in the first couple minutes. Costa Rica slowly taking control and haven't managed to open the scoring yet. Mexico and Antigua and Barbuda still to come later tonight on this opening day of the Men's U20 Championship. Costa Rica continuing to win that midfield battle. Good dribbling again from Dax Palmer. Now served in from that right flank. Desperate clear away and then hit with the right, and it's saved on the short hop by Medrano, and it'll be a corner for Costa Rica. Strong, powerful strike with that right foot, forcing the save out of Medrano. Well, it's hit really well by Yerlan Sosa, who's had a bright start to this game. So Costa Rica turning on the pressure. Outswinging corner coming up from Emmanuel Hernandez. It's a good header away. Costa Rica will reset it though. Adrian Espinoza. Then Sibaja. Sosa. Espinoza, another good ball to the top of the 18. Touched around that edge of the area. Ball into the middle wasn't quite good enough. Guatemala can only scramble it away for a throw. Increasingly pinned back, Los Chapines. There's Guatemala at the senior level and an interesting 2025 as they got to the Gold Cup semifinals with a terrific run in that competition. They were so hopeful that 2026 would be the year they qualified for the FIFA World Cup for the very first time. It didn't quite happen. They've conceded another corner here, helping to build toward 2030 and beyond at this U20 level and throughout their age brackets. Costa Rica, of course, a very disappointing cycle as well, as they failed to qualify for that Men's World Cup. Out of what seemed like a very winnable qualifying group, they still have plenty of talent coming through their youth ranks, and this bending outswinger is clipped over the bar and out for a goal kick. David Gatto caught a bit flat-footed by that opportunity. Costa Rica continue to pile on most of the pressure, but Guatemala hanging in so far. Now Guatemala looking to get on the front foot for the first time in a while. Chopping onto the right. Strike was blocked. Comes bouncing through to this near side, and it's awkwardly cleared out for a Guatemalan throw. So we're starting to see the shape of how this game figures to unfold, with Costa Rica having the majority of the possession, the majority of the territory. It'll be whether they can turn that into end product, into goals and finishes. Or will Guatemala be able to hit them on the counterattack from time to time? That's another good dribble by Sibaja. Sibaja's cut back from the end line. Hooked away as far as Espinoza. Returning it for Sibaja. This time with his right foot, he'll curl one in. Thumped away to the edge of the 18. Then with the left foot, Delon Aguilar didn't really catch it. Senior national team head coach looking on for Guatemala. Marvin Avila, who you just saw on the screen, he's already debuted for the senior national team. A lot of expectation on him in this tournament. He's had hardly any service over the opening 19 minutes. Costa Rica throw coming up. Avila, the son of Marvin Avila Sr., who played for the national team very successfully. Big excitement in Guatemala around his development. But here come Costa Rica again. Another cutback attempt, and it squirms across the goal line and somehow stays out. It's still in play, though. Pulled back, clipped with the right, on top of goal, and it's wide again, and then volleyed over the bar. And how did Costa Rica not score? That is incredible. Watch this ball just squirm right across the goal line and somehow never cross it. Takes a deflection off the defender. It goes right between the goalkeeper's feet. Does it clip the post too? No. So that seems to defy physics. I don't know how that ball spins that way without deflecting a second time. Guatemala extremely grateful that it did. Well, over 20 minutes gone. It's Costa Rica mostly very much on top, but they're not on top on the score sheet. They've had chances. Guatemala exerted some early pressure in the first couple minutes, but very little since. It has mostly been desperate defending from them. That throw had originally been awarded to Guatemala. Now it's been changed to Costa Rica's throws. We see the shadows starting to creep out onto the pitch from this near side. Garo. That stayed in play for Espinoza. Another wicked cross from Espinoza, and it's loose. Came off a defender who's trying to save the corner, and he does. That's good work by Emir Ponciano. Left-footed left back. He's in the academy with LAFC in Major League Soccer and has also played in the MLS Next Pro team for them. Ponciano previously played with El Salvador's youth setup, but made the switch earlier this year to Guatemala, saying he always really wanted to represent Guatemala, but hadn't been given the opportunity until now. Father Guatemalan, his mother Salvadoran. Guatemala is his choice now, and so here he is with them at this U20 Men's Championship this year after being with El Salvador in 2025 and previously. Here come Costa Rica again, another surge from Gatto, and again the defending at the last moment had to be good and was. It'll be another corner for Costa Rica midway through this first half. Certainly looks and sounds like man-to-man marking from Guatemala, judging by the look and what you hear from their coaching staff. Everybody stacked up on top of goal and whipped to that back post. Good strong punch from Medrano. Ball allowed to bounce first time. Now back with Espinosa. His crosses have been very strong early on. That one flicked out to the right and allowed to run out for another Costa Rican throw. Guatemala able to set up essentially with a back five at the moment. It's a very stout defensive setup for Guatemala. They feel they need to be that way. They have to be able to show some kind of threat on the counter. They've not been able to do that very much in this first half. There's Marvin Avila trying to get involved, which again, he's had very few opportunities to be so in these first 25. Later tonight, Mexico and Antigua and Barbuda. Tomorrow, Cuba and El Salvador, and then the United States make their tournament debut against Haiti. Over the top this goes. There was that chance maybe to create something on the counter for Guatemala, but just the one to aim for. That was Omar Bolaños, who couldn't quite be picked out from distance. So 25 gone. Guatemala able to settle a bit in the last couple minutes, but still mostly all Costa Rica in terms of possession and threat. That ball stay in play, no. It's a bit of a slower surface here in Puebla. We've seen that a couple times early in this first half with balls staying in play, but not quite enough for that one to stay in play. Randall Rowe had caps with the national team for Costa Rica between 1991 and 99. Mentioned he took the U17 side to the World Cup last year in Qatar and then moved up to take charge of these U20s this year. It's been a strong first half from them so far. They've outshot Guatemala 8-1, but only one of those shots has been on target. They've had nearly 60% of the ball Costa Rica. There was a quick VAR check going on. Now play has been waved on. And Randy Encarnacion is our lead VAR for this one. Sebastian Bini. Again, although he is Argentine, born in Cordoba in Argentina, this is his first national team job after managing at club level in Guatemala for quite a while. Won a couple Guatemalan titles. Here come his side down this right now. Bolaños cross in, and it's over the head of its target, Marvin Avila, and plucked out by Ian O'Rourke. Better from Guatemala, who have managed to survive this opening nearly half an hour. Ooh, that was close from O'Rourke. Guatemala player closing him down. Sounded like he may have gotten the edge of a stud on that kick out, but now it'll be a free kick for Guatemala in the middle of the park. Guatemala starting to string some more passes together through the middle of the field. They had been overrun in the midfield in the early stages. It's a good floated ball to this right side, neatly taken down by Aguilar. Spread back for Bolaños. Then centrally for Guerra. And this is good for Guatemala, just to have a spell of possession, knock the ball around. And this is going to be knocked well high and wide. It'll be just the second shot for Guatemala in this opening 29 minutes. Selvin Sagastume, who's shined for Guatemala at the lower age levels. A couple big goals for them at the U17 championship a few years ago. That was a stirring showing by Guatemala on home soil back in 2023 in the U17 championship. Had a couple thrilling wins in the group stage in front of their home fans, and then had to play the United States in the quarterfinal. That was quite a battle. You may remember they lost 5-3 to the United States after rallying back a few times to get within a goal. Player down just off the pitch for Costa Rica, and that's the reason for the stoppage. Gabriel Cibaja, the player on the ground for Costa Rica. Let's see what happens. It was off the ball. Ooh. Well, there's definitely something with that right arm from the Guatemalan player. The VAR room will be taking a look at that. Yeah, he's going to go to the monitor, Adonis Carrasco. He has been summoned over by lead VAR Randy Encarnacion. And Guatemala could be in big trouble here. Totally needless off the ball incident, and it's going to be shown to the referee. Tatiana Guzman, the assistant VAR, pointing out on the screen as you see. It's the shoulder barge, but then it's this. That with the right arm. That is what has been flagged by the VAR room. You see it being replayed a couple times. He doesn't seem to make contact with the hand or the fist. It's more the forearm, but still, it's at minimum very ill-advised and could be punished to the maximum momentarily. appears to be Amir Ponciano, number 17 for Guatemala. And a couple other angles we saw. So this red card check has been concluded, and now we'll get Adonis Carrasco's conclusion. After VAR review, well, he's going to the pocket. It's going to be a red card, and Guatemala are going to be down to 10. It's the end of the day for Amir Ponciano. Completely needless and could be completely disastrous for Guatemala. Well, the kid who wanted so badly to represent Guatemala instead of El Salvador getting his opportunity, and it's gone totally wrong. And he has no one but himself to blame. Gabriel Cibaja, who you could say initiates the incident by sort of bumping him, but still, there's no excuse to react like that. Ponciano knows it. And now Guatemala, who had just started to seemingly stabilize and start to have some more of the ball and some more of the play after having to weather so much of the opening half an hour. Now they're going to have to play the rest of this opener with 10. Well, we've talked so much about what this opening game means for these two sides, how much a defeat would put either of them in a big hole to start this tournament and their quest to reach a U20 World Cup and the Pan American Games, possibly even the Olympic Games in 2028. All of that would become a much steeper road if you lose this first one, with Mexico still to come in this group. And the fourth official has summoned Adonis Carrasco over. He's showing a yellow card to somebody. I think it's Guatemala's head coach, Sebastian Bini. So Costa Rica trying to take advantage of that additional man, trying to open the scoring before halftime. Guatemala will just want to get this to the half now and see if they can regroup. They have another 10 minutes plus stoppage time in order to do that. This is floated to the right side. It's going to stay in play. It's cut back and swiped clear by Sagastume. And if Guatemala's attackers, especially Marvin Avila, were struggling for service before, going to be even more difficult now. But they have to dig in and see if they can at least claw this to halftime. Lifted back in over everyone in red. And it was one back, but there was a foul against Caden Ferrier. There's another look, though, at how relatively slow this surface plays, how the ball will hold up and stick up on it. And even that is one of those little things that Guatemala probably could live without, especially now that they're down to 10. There's going to be a number of occasions when you're playing down a man where you just want to shield that ball out. You want it to roll across either the touch line or the end line so you can end a defensive sequence and regroup and catch your breath. And on this kind of surface, that ball often is not rolling out of play. That could make it even tougher. There's a good turn, though, by Avila, finally with a chance to show what he can do. Avila on the counter with 10 for Guatemala, trying to pick out his teammate and couldn't quite do it. And they're not going to get many moments like those, Guatemala. They have to capitalize. They did not there, and now they could be hit the other way as Costa Rica go on the counter. And galloping in is Gatto, and it's a good block, and it's a corner for Los Ticos. Great action end to end. We remain goalless late in this first half. Watch how good this defending is. Jorge Gonzalez sticking right with him. And that's the kind of defending Guatemala are going to absolutely have to have for the rest of this game if they're going to get some kind of result. They already would have taken a draw coming in, Guatemala. They absolutely would snatch your hand off if you offered to draw to them now. Costa Rica will try to kick down that door with this corner. In from Palmer. Drills it really long. 2 Ticos at that back stick area. And it's harmlessly toward Medrano. Now there's a player down for Guatemala, and they're asking for action from the referee. Now the yellow card has been shown to Matias Cordero. Cordero apparently getting involved with Jorge Gonzalez. I believe Adonis Carrasco showed that yellow after consulting with one of his assistants. Guatemala, no outlet. Costa Rica coming back at them. They're set up pretty well defensively, though, Guatemala. That back line's going to be tough to breach. Costa Rica will have to use their skill, move the ball quickly. That's deflected through and off the outside of the goal. It stays out. It turned into a sudden chance for David Gatto. He reacted well, but he couldn't quite steer it inside that near post. Guatemala looked well set up to deal with this, but then it deflects off. I believe it was Jordi Aguilar that it came off of. It was an improvised outside of the foot finished attempt from Gatto, and inches wide. So 40 minutes on the clock. Final 5 of the first half. Can Guatemala get it to halftime at 0-0? Can Costa Rica open the scoring before then? A goal before the half changes things dramatically if it were to arrive. Guatemala looking for something on the counter. Just one up in the attack for them, though. Trying to take it for a run. The goalkeeper comes out and handles that easily. It's Oscar De Leon just seeing what he might be able to do, clipping it around the defender, but Ian O'Rourke able to deal with that without too much difficulty. So still 0-0, approaching halftime here in Puebla. Opening match of the Concacaf Men's U20 Championship in Group B. We've seen Costa Rica outnumber in the middle of the park many times, but Avila has this for Guatemala. He has no support at the moment, but he's able to lay it off and wait for that support to arrive, but it never quite did. Just unable to get on the end of that was Bolaños. It's a decent idea from Avila in a situation where he didn't have many options. Guatemala have shown 1 or 2 moments of threat on the counter since going down a man. Sebastian Bini's already been cautioned. Here's a free kick for Guatemala. Costa Rica choosing not to press high with that man advantage. That's allowing Guatemala to have a little bit of time on the ball. Okay, Guatemala clearly want to get this to halftime. That's an adventurous dribble and a dangerous one, and losing out on it was Medrano. Costa Rica have an open goal, but Medrano able to hustle back, and Avila able to hustle back and intercept that ball. And now Avila goes for a run, and he's going to draw a yellow, as this will be the second booking of the match for Costa Rica. And Gabriel Cibaja was not going to let Avila keep going. That's another big missed opportunity for Costa Rica. Avila was threatening to run away from everyone, and he was dragged back forcefully by Cibaja. Well, Cibaja in the middle of things for Los Ticos in this first half. He was the man who drew the red card on Ponciano. Well, this was interesting from Alvaro Medrano. Chose to take it for a dribble, and that was always going to be a likely result. But Costa Rica couldn't capitalize. This touch gets away from him. It was taken away by Dax Palmer, but Costa Rica couldn't pick the right options from there. So we're into first half stoppage time, of which there will be 4 additional minutes, says fourth official Eric De La Cruz. Here comes Avila for Guatemala. Avila! That did not take a deflection. It was just a sliced attempt. Marvin Avila, just the second time he's really gotten loose in this first half, at least in the attacking third. Espinoza has seen a lot of the ball down this left wing for Costa Rica in this first half. Again, the 16-year-old making his debut for the U20 side. He's looked very confident on the ball. Of course, as a left back, he hasn't been forced to defend very much in this first half. Playing left back's a lot more fun when your team's on the attack for almost an entire 45 minutes, of course, but he's looked good. But Guatemala inching closer to taking this into halftime at 0-0. Sebastian Bini continuing to talk things over with the fourth official. And Bini has lived and coached in Guatemala for about 25 years now. now calls himself Mas Chapin. So he feels perhaps he's almost more Guatemalan than Argentine at this point. Down this right side come Costa Rica, though. Still looking to open the scoring before halftime. It's another wonderful challenge by Jorge Gonzalez. And the flag does go up now for offside. It'll be a free kick for Guatemala. Well, if this had ended up in the back of the net, the VAR room would have had an interesting one to look at there. Certainly close. A goal that might have had a chance to stand if it had wound up in the back of the net, but Guatemala, thanks to that fine challenge from Jorge Gonzalez, don't have to worry about that. Costa Rica still with time to score before half. This is Ferrier to the end line. Ferrier's cutback is going to spin out of play. This will be a corner in the final minute of first half stoppage time for Costa Rica. Seconds before half, often match-defining moments. Referee wants to make sure everybody's jostling fairly. You see some Guatemalan players asking for VAR to intervene, claiming that perhaps there was a forearm thrown in the box by a Costa Rican player. David Gatto has been summoned over by the referee along with Brian Guerra. So an increasingly heated first half in a group opener with high stakes for these two sides and their ambitions to reach the biggest tournament at this age level. Likely the final action of this first half. Costa Rican corner toward the near post, and it's punched on top of the goal. The goalkeeper getting something on it, and apparently nothing else because it's another corner for Costa Rica. Not totally convincing from Alvaro Medrano, but he did enough for now. They'll have to defend one more. Yeah, it comes straight off Medrano's right glove and deflects backwards over the bar, and there isn't time for another corner apparently. Referee is blown for halftime. Costa Rica are puzzled by that. But Adonis Carrasco does appear to have blown for the end of the first half. And so, 45 minutes gone. Guatemala do get to halftime with the 0-0 intact. They are down a man thanks to the red card to Amir Ponciano, shown just after the half hour. They've had very few chances. The couple chances they've had have fallen to their star man, Marvin Avila. Costa Rica, most of the ball, most of the opportunities. A couple that you don't know how they stayed out, but they did. And so it's still anyone's in this opener at the Concacaf Men's U20 Championship in Group B. It is Guatemala 0, Costa Rica 0. Well, a fascinating first half here in the opener at the Concacaf Men's U20 Championship here in Puebla, Mexico. Guatemala and Costa Rica, after spirited singings of their respective national anthems. But after the pleasantries were exchanged, the opening half was mostly unpleasant for Guatemala as they were under pressure for long stretches, and Costa Rica, nearly 2 minutes in, had the opening opportunity. It was good strength from David Gatto to shoulder his defender off the ball, but goalkeeper Alvaro Medrano out to make a good save. And then Medrano was able to smother this as well. And so Guatemala had to absorb so much pressure for most of that opening half an hour. They were able to get out on the counter a couple times. This was a good dribble by Jordi Aguilar, but then it carried too far away from him to turn it into anything else. Costa Rica caused a lot of problems down this right side through Caden Ferrier, and his ball into the middle was just out of the reach of its initial target. And this ball sent in with the right, a good strike by Yerlan Sosa, forcing a smart stop out of Alvaro Medrano, who had a very good first half for the most part. Then this ball somehow gets through Medrano and somehow spins all along the goal line and stays out. And Costa Rica still had a chance subsequently with this clipped ball toward the back stick that fell then back to the right side and was volleyed wildly over. But watch how this ball takes a deflection, goes through the goalkeeper's legs. It doesn't deflect off the post or anything else. It does seem to defy physics. Why does it change spin, seemingly, once it reaches the goal line? It seemed magnetically destined not to cross, and that was the case. Guatemala, again, didn't create much in the first half. This cross in easily dealt with by Ian O'Rourke. But then the key moment of the first half, this off-the-ball incident, and just so ill-advised by Amir Ponciano. It was flagged by the VAR room for further review, and referee Adonis Carrasco felt he had no other choice than to send off Ponciano. And so Guatemala down to 10 in the 32nd minute. Costa Rica then nearly created the opener shortly thereafter. This deflected ball and an improvised finish attempted by David Gatto, but just wide of that near post. That's Costa Rica not able to find the opener before halftime. This last action of the first half punched over his own bar by Alvaro Medrano. Again, unconventional, but it works for Guatemala. So the numbers from our first half: 11 shots for Los Ticos, 4 for Guatemala, just 2 on frame for Costa Rica. They do have 2 yellows with Cibaja and Cordero. Keep that in mind in the second half, as Guatemala will be hoping to draw a red card to level this match at 10 against 10. Second half coming up. Can Costa Rica win it? Can Guatemala hold out? Second 45 next.
And the atmosphere here is absolutely electrifying.
This broadcast is copyrighted by Concacaf for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this broadcast or any picture descriptions or accounts of the game without the consent of Concacaf is strictly prohibited.
Back here at the Estadio Cuauhtemoc here in Puebla, Mexico, the opening match of the Concacaf Men's U20 Championships here in 2026 between Guatemala and Costa Rica. 0-0 going into the second half. Guatemala down to 10 after the red card to Emir Ponciano just past the half-hour mark in that opening 45. Costa Rica do have two players on yellow cards, Matias Cordero and Gabriel Cibaja. So something to keep in mind in this second half as Guatemala had to defend for long stretches in those opening 45 minutes, and it would figure to be a lot more of the same here in the second half. The question will be whether they can continue to hold out, A, and whether they can pose a little bit more of a threat on the counter, with the likes of Marvin Avila showing a couple flashes of danger, but they need to get him the ball a bit more. It's going to be easier said than done against this talented Ticos side, but from Costa Rica's perspective, probably want to up their tempo a bit in this second half. Try to do more to pull apart and tire out these 10 men of Guatemala. After they had a lot of the pressure in the first half, outshot Guatemala 11-4. As this change coming out of halftime for Guatemala, we'll see Pablo Arias coming on. So referee Adonis Carrasco had to make the red card decision in the first half. Costa Rica ultimately didn't do enough to crack the score sheet in the first 45 minutes. A game with such consequence in this opener of Group B, with Mexico also looming in this group. They'll play later this evening against Antigua and Barbuda after the conclusion of this match. So if either side could snatch all 3 points in this one, it would put the other in a very difficult spot to try to get to the quarterfinals and ultimately get to that Men's U20 World Cup next year. Costa Rica kicked things off in the second half. They're in the red and the blue. Guatemala in the white. Can Costa Rica find the breakthrough in this second half? Could Guatemala snatch something on the counter? Costa Rica straight to the attack, trying to float one down that left wing. Oscar de Leon, the player withdrawn at halftime for Guatemala. First change either side is made. Yerlan Sosa interchanging with Gabriel Cibaja. It was Cibaja who drew that red card against Ponciano in the first half. Cross thumped in from the left, and it flies over the bar and out. Expect Guatemala to try to take their time from these restarts as long as this stays at 0-0. Once they went down to 10 men with about 15 minutes left in the first half, it was clearly their goal just to get to halftime, have a chance to reset. They've been able to do that. They would be thrilled with a draw at this point, of course. And Marvin Avila looks like he's been called for the foul. The referee, I think, has pointed Guatemala's way now. Yeah, he has. So it is a Guatemala free kick. Everybody was confused for a moment because it looked as though Avila had been fouled. I think Adonis Carrasco, very early in the second half, he habitually pointed the other direction, which of course was the way Guatemala were traveling in the first half. So this is a Guatemalan attacking set piece. Again, these are always precious, especially when you're down a man. Chance to create some danger. It was good from Avila to win that in the first place. It's the kind of thing they're going to have to do in this second half. Can they capitalize on it? It's angled in. It's a good delivery. It's flicked out. It's a goal kick. Guatemala were claiming a corner, but not much argument subsequently as Adonis Carrasco pointed the other direction. It was a good delivery from that free kick, but well defended. So Costa Rica, again, as we mentioned at the start of the first half, they're trying to get back to a U20 World Cup for the first time in nearly a decade. 2017, the last time they were there. Guatemala got there in 2023. They've only been to the men's U20 World Cup twice. Trying to make some more history this year, but facing an uphill battle in the start of their quest to do that. And as we outlined early in the game, if you finish third in one of these groups, again, there's 3 groups of 4, 12 nations in total who have made it to this men's U20 championship. So the top 2 finishers in each of the 3 groups, they advance to the quarterfinals, plus the 2 best third-place finishers out of those 3 groups. They also make it to that last 8. But if you're one of those best third-place finishers, yes, you qualify for the quarterfinals, but you get those last 2 seeds. The teams will be seeded 1 through 8, depending on how they finished in the group stage. And if you finish 7th or 8th, in other words, if you are one of those third-place teams who advances, that would put you in line if everything goes chalk, which of course sometimes it doesn't, but if Mexico and the U.S. or the U.S. and Mexico finish 1 and 2 in the seedings after the group stage, as they're widely expected to do, then that means those 2 third-place finishers and qualifiers would have to play the U.S. or Mexico in that quarterfinal match. And those quarterfinal games, remember, are what determine who goes to the men's U20 World Cup next year. So you want to finish 2nd rather than 3rd. And that's why whoever loses this match would be at such a disadvantage, because they'd still have to play Mexico, of course. And Antigua and Barbuda are no walkovers these days either. They have improved quite a bit. So that's why for either of these sides coming into this group opener, defeat was unthinkable. For Guatemala now, down a man. They're trying to hold out and hold on, and this is going to spin across the end line. This is a corner for Costa Rica 5 minutes into the second half. Emmanuel Hernandez getting ready to take this corner with his right. Alvaro Medrano had a couple of strong punches from these corners in the first half. And and this is a poor delivery, and it's straight out for a goal kick. So those are gifts for Guatemala. It's a couple of mishit crosses from Costa Rica early in this second half, and that obviously relieves pressure and allows Guatemala to take a breath and take a few moments, get themselves up the pitch. And like any team that's down a man and up against it, Guatemala will know the longer they can keep this at 0-0, the more the pressure starts to shift onto Costa Rica, the more their frustration might rise. Or Guatemala might get some opportunities in transition, as they nearly had there, but there was a foul behind the play, and the referee going to his pocket to show yellow to Marvin Avila. As you saw in the replay there, I'm not sure it was Avila who actually made contact with the player. It may have been number 18, Julio Ramos. I think this might get changed. Yeah, mistaken identity, and it's the card taken away from Avila and shown instead to Ramos. So definitely the correct decision, and it's good work by the entire refereeing quartet. Between Adonis Carrasco, it looked like his fourth official, Eric De La Cruz, was helping him there. And that's exactly what the officials are supposed to do, be in constant communication, help each other fill in what they saw, what the other may have missed initially. Teamwork just as important for these officials as it is for the players. So Ramos into the book. He's the only player on the pitch on a yellow card for Guatemala. Of course, they already have Emir Ponciano off the pitch with his first half red, as this cross swung in for Costa Rica. Lots of wrestling in the box, but all of it fair. Booted out by Ramos for a Costa Rican throw. Now Avila trying to chase that down. Ooh, a loose touch, and Guatemala are in. What a chance for Los Chapines, taken around the goalkeeper, and it's cleared off the line. And it rolls out for a corner, but it was nearly so much more. Now Guatemala are shouting for handball. Costa Rica get away with it. And what a chance it was for Guatemala's Omar Bolaños. The pressure applied by Avila, and then just a terrible touch by Emmanuel Brenes for Costa Rica, and Bolaños does everything right. He goes around the keeper. I don't think that's handball. It looks like it comes off the hip. We'll see it again from this angle. Ooh, well does it now. Now his arm is down in what I believe is a natural position, so even if it comes off the arm, with it being down by his side, that's unlikely to be given as a penalty. Play is waved on, so it has been checked and cleared. And it is just a corner for Guatemala, which still could turn into something, of course. It's whipped toward the near post and then headed out for another corner. What a clearance, though, by Emmanuel Brenes, who was able to hustle back after his error gifted the ball and the opportunity to Bolaños. It was he who got back and cleared it off his own line after his goalkeeper had been rounded. Now this delivery is going to fly through everyone. Guatemala try to keep it in play, and it's great work to do so initially. And then a heavy challenge, but a fair one. And now Costa Rica galloped the other way, but the ball forward is hammered out of play. And we're 10 minutes into this second half. It's a great game, actually. We've not had a goal, but we've had seemingly everything else. Guatemala's senior men's national team head coach continuing to watch on. He certainly had plenty to think about over these opening 55 minutes. Costa Rica continue to attack with an extra man. They've not really done enough since going up a man. In fact, you could argue that they were better when this game was 11 v 11 over the opening half an hour. Since Guatemala went down a man, they've sat even deeper than they were initially, and they've largely been able to frustrate Los Ticos. Would they create something here? No. Referee gives the foul and the free kick to Guatemala. Well, this was the chance for Bolaños a moment ago. He goes around the keeper. Yeah, it comes off the hip. If it slightly clips the arm at his side, which I don't think it even did, but if it had, that still wouldn't have been given, most likely. And of course it wasn't, so that arm being down in a natural position, we've seen the last couple of years, that is almost never given as handball anymore. So well done by Emmanuel Brenes after giving the ball away initially, to not give up on the play. Well, that's a foul throw. It slipped out of his hands, and referee rightly spotting that, giving the throw to Costa Rica, which they take right away. It was good harassing, though, by Selvin Sagastume. He just nudged his man backward, and then eventually the ball is given away. Those little moments from Sagastume, in that case, so important when you're down a man. Here goes Avila the other way for Guatemala. Avila trying to turn the corner. It deflects out. This will be a corner for Guatemala. They wanted a free kick. And we'll have a set piece from that near side flag in a moment. Well, the boot was high. The studs were up from Matias Cordero, but he did get the ball. And he is on a yellow, and that's part of why Guatemala are shouting, because they wanted him sent off. But he did appear to get the ball pretty cleanly. And now Avila will take the corner himself from this near side. Could Guatemala score with 10? They nearly did a couple minutes ago. Avila. And it's tipped by the goalkeeper. Good fingertips from Ian O'Rourke, who's had little to do for the most part. Well, a goal for either side over this last half an hour or so could be massively consequential to either side's ambitions, either side's ability to get through to at least the Men's U20 World Cup next year. It's been a very evenly matched second half, actually, even though Guatemala continue to play down a man. They have a free kick just before that midfield strike. You make a strong case, actually, that the first 15 minutes of this second half, Guatemala have been much the better team. Wasn't the case in the first half. They've been the ones finding more of the moments of pressure. And this underlapping run is going to run out of play, and this is a goal kick. Avila trying to combine with Julio Ramos, who has stayed down by those end boards. With an hour gone and half an hour remaining, we remain at 0-0 here in Puebla. Ramos is trying to scoot himself back onto the pitch. Well, he remains down off the pitch, so at the moment Guatemala are playing with 9, and that's such a waste from Costa Rica. And you can see in their body language, they know it too. Already up a man because of the red card in the first half. Then they had Ramos down behind the play for Guatemala, so a chance to attack against 9. And it was a relatively simple looking pass forward that misconnected, and That ended that sequence. Ramos, I'm not sure what may have happened there, if he landed awkwardly at some point. Now Costa Rica still trying to find that breakthrough. The pullback falls at the top of the area, and it's struck over the bar, and that's their best chance so far in the second half. And it fell to Dax Palmer, and he couldn't wrap his foot around it properly. He had lots of space and time, too. This ball arrives to him just at the edge of the 18. Now, Paulo Arriaga was closing him down, but he knows he could have done better. Sums up the first 62 minutes, really, for Costa Rica. They've had opportunities, but although they've been unlucky a couple times, the rest of them have seen them not quite show the finishing that they've needed to. They're going to make a double change now as they bring on Kionel Estrada, take off Gabriel Cibaja, who's been on a yellow card. Also bring on Kenar Hernandez. Caden Ferrier is the other player who's come off for them. Guatemala also made a change. We'll get to that in just a moment. This is a good run through the middle of the park and then laid off by Sosa, who did very well. He gave it to Dax Palmer, and Palmer dragging it very wide. That's the player who's just come on for Guatemala, Gary Perez. He replaced Julio Ramos, who had just picked up that yellow card a few minutes ago and then had gone down with that apparent injury. Now free kick for Guatemala. And again, it's Marvin Avila who wins it. He's had a good game, Marvin Avila. Hasn't had that many moments to really show what he can do, but that's understandable in the situation in which his team has found itself. He's taken the opportunities he's gotten to carry the ball forward and put Costa Rica under some pressure and draw some fouls and free kicks. And that's what he's done again here. He and Sagastume talk it over. Looks like Avila will deliver it as well. From the shadows into the sunshine. Avila bends it in back post. Goalkeeper up and tips it out of play. Corner for Guatemala. As Ian O'Rourke again, once he committed, had to get something on it and did. Avila taking from that far side, and that ball went out of play. So now Guatemala not able to make the most of a set piece. So 25 minutes remaining. O'Rourke trying to take that goal kick quickly. He was hoping to hit the run of substitute Kenar Hernandez. Alvaro Medrano took that ball for a walk as long as Costa Rica allowed him to. Guatemala winning more and more of those balls in the middle of the park in the second half. That's been the big difference for them since halftime, and that's a good ball down the right. Guatemala attacking with 10 again, and then the cross goes through all the way out. Only one to aim for Omar Bolaños. He was trying to pick out the substitute, Gary Perez. He'll be very proud of how his team are competing, Sebastian Bini. The result still totally in the balance. Could yet swing either way quite dramatically over these last 24 minutes plus, as this will be a Guatemalan goal kick. Bolaños was looking for the foul on that initial challenge. He stays down behind the play, so Guatemala again defending with 9. Now Costa Rica put the ball out of play. Omar Bolaños plays in the Houston Dynamo system. Had that big opportunity from the Costa Rican giveaway about 10 minutes ago when he rounded the goalkeeper, but then saw his shot cleared off the line by Emmanuel Brenes. So the stretcher out for Bolaños. Now 2 more changes coming for Guatemala. They send on Pati Carrana. He is replacing Bolaños. Jordi Aguilar makes way for Justin Pacay. So that's 4 of their 5 changes for Guatemala. They have 1 left. Costa Rica now making 2 more changes of their own. Off comes Emmanuel Hernandez. On comes Jeremy Hernandez and Ethan Barley. David Gatto, the other player who comes off for Los Ticos. So 20 minutes to go. Still goalless between Guatemala and Costa Rica in this opening game of the Concacaf Men's U20 Championship. We're in Group B with Mexico to play later tonight against Antigua and Barbuda. Costa Rica desperate to take advantage of this man advantage that they've held since just past the half-hour mark in the first half. They've not done so yet, but they do have a corner coming up. Outswinger from Dax Palmer, and it wasn't the best delivery. It almost created chaos for Guatemala. It deflected first off Gary Perez and then off Marvin Avila. And so Costa Rica do it again. Palmer will likely try to elevate this one a bit more. Now hammered with the right foot, and it nearly snuck in at that near post. It tickled the outside of the twine. Terrific hit from Kenar Hernandez. Didn't he step into this one confidently? Wow, the technique is terrific. And he was inches away. From Guatemala's perspective, they'll take that. If Costa Rica's best chances are coming from distance, playing down a man for so long in this game, they have largely limited Los Ticos. They have another free kick in the attacking half now. It's been a very strong second half thus far from Los Chapines. For both of these sides, they would have had their sights set coming in. Of course you want to win your group, but with Mexico in this group, you at least want to finish second to likely avoid either the U.S. or Mexico in the quarterfinals that determine who goes to the Men's U20 World Cup. That ball overshot and cleared out by Costa Rica. And so both sides know how important this opening match is against each other. These two teams favored to battle it out for that second position in this group, and they essentially were thought to be battling it out head-to-head in this opening match. See how it plays out over the rest of the group over the next handful of days, but a win for either side could be so consequential in how this tournament goes for either team. Right now they're splitting the points, which coming in, both sides probably would have been okay with. Guatemala would certainly be fine with that now. Costa Rica, under the circumstances, would not. This was this attempt a moment ago from Kenar Hernandez. It's a great look at it. Watch him step around that ball. It's great technique just to get that anywhere close to that upper 90. For the most part, though, in this second half, Guatemala have been relatively comfortable in defense. That was not the case in the first half. Here come Costa Rica, though. They have some numbers now. Guatemala caught in transition for a moment and clipped in. That's good defending again. Guatemala's center backs have been excellent in this game. They have had to be. That was off a Costa Rican player last. A throw for Guatemala deep in their own corner. Los Chapines trying to fight their way out of a tough corner in this opening match. Here's Hernandez. It's going to run toward the end line. Had to be dealt with and was at the expense of a corner. Jorge Gonzalez didn't think he had a choice there. 15 minutes to go. Costa Rica outshooting Guatemala 14-6 for the match, but just 2 of their 14 shots on target. It's been an agonizing watch, I'm sure, for that guy, Emir Ponciano, sent off just past 30 minutes. His teammates battling so well thus far, but they have to defend another corner now. Bent in low and defended back out. Costa Rican corner once more. unofficially, this would be Costa Rica's 13th corner of the match. Costa Rica trying to create legal obstructions that near post. Kind of delivery, not quite what they'd want, but it's again struck with the right foot and deflected, and they score! It was Kenar Hernandez buying the lottery ticket again. Who did come off last? Who cares for Costa Rica? And on the opening day of the Concacaf U20 Championship, first blood is Costa Rican red. And Guatemala's resistance finally broken through in the 77th minute. Unfortunate for them that it comes via deflection, but he'd already shown how dangerous he is from distance a couple minutes ago, Kenar Hernandez. He'd already flashed one just wide of the post. Initial clearance was good, but it comes straight to Hernandez, doesn't hesitate, it flies through traffic. It's a great strike. It looked initially like it deflected off someone. I'm not sure now. Does this actually hit anybody else? I'm not sure it does. What a phenomenal strike. If that doesn't take a deflection, that's a perfect finish into the far corner. And Kenar Hernandez coming off the bench about 15 minutes ago, showing exactly what he can do. And now Guatemala have to find some kind of response, down a man, but here comes Marvin Avila, and he sent one right at the goalkeeper. And they almost responded right away indeed. And it's the man who's been their main threat today. Marvin Avila found on the second ball in stride, able to create the space for the shot, but not able to pick a corner. Now it's wide open with Guatemala having to attack more. Costa Rica want to kill it off. It's into the gloves of Alvaro Medrano. Loose touch, Guatemala win it back. They only have two in the attack, but Avila is one of them. Marvin Avila. Can he create some kind of magic for Guatemala? Not there as he attempted to lay it off. Kenar Hernandez with the opening goal in this U20 championship. The opening goal for Costa Rica that has them now in line for all 3 points. Costa Rica can afford to be patient now. Okay, now Hernandez trying to flick it around Gary Perez. Frustration from Marvin Avila. He's had to attack by himself for so much of this afternoon. You think back to that opportunity that Bolaños had in about the 58th minute. As this cross has to be punched away by Medrano. It's going to be out for a Costa Rica throw as we're into the last 10 minutes. Another look at the goal. It's still tough to tell whether it deflects in off somebody. Does it change direction? But it's such a great hit, one way or the other, by Kenar Hernandez. It's a hug from his head coach. And if that's a goal that allows them to at least finish second and have a more favorable quarterfinal matchup, the chance to grab a ticket to the Men's U20 World Cup later, or next year, I should say. Kenar Hernandez will be getting a hug from all of Costa Rica. It's a powerful run from Yerlan Sosa. He's had a nice game. So Guatemalan free kick out of their own half. When you're having to defend with 10 and you're having to sit deep for long stretches, one thing you can't do much about is a quality strike from distance. Sometimes you're unlucky, and that's the case for Guatemala. It was such a high quality strike from Kenar Hernandez. So Guatemala do have a free kick from just inside this near touchline. Selvin Sagastume looks ready to take it. If he can get his captain's armband back on. Shadows becoming tricky late in this match. Sagastume bends it in. It's a quality ball. They win the first header, second ball down and then thumped away. Well, they got most of what they wanted, Guatemala. They won first contact, created a dangerous second and third ball, but that third ball didn't find anyone in white. They do have a throw as they try to somehow grab an equalizer with 10. Costa Rica, though, dangerous in transition, even more so now. That one peters out, but time also starting to peter out on Guatemala. Mexico playing Antigua and Barbuda just a little while after this one. As day one of the 2026 Concacaf Men's U20 Championship continues. Here goes Avila, again having to try to create something by himself against multiple defenders. He has created a throw. Kind bounce for Guatemala. Up into the air by Arana. Which way is this free kick going? It's Guatemala's free kick. That'll be an interesting one for them. It's in a decent spot to try to deliver a dangerous ball, especially with these shadows. Tough for the defenders now. You're having to look into that setting sun with the ball coming out of the shadows into that sunlight. Avila is standing toward the near side for Guatemala. Just about everybody else in white is toward the far side of the box. Sagastume bends it in, but that's simple in the end for Ian O'Rourke, who then takes the bump and goes down. And a yellow card shown to Patrick Arana. Costa Rica would love to keep the ball for these last 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time if they could. That's wonderful skill from Yerlan Sosa. He prods it forward, looks for the return ball, nearly flicked it over his man again. That was a personal highlight reel sequence for Yerlan Sosa, and his side have been able to keep it now and can work the clock some more. Here's Dax Palmer trying to split the defense and nearly did for the run of Kenar Hernandez, who's almost in for his second, and now a free kick for Guatemala and a yellow card coming for Jeremy Hernandez. It's not a bad yellow to take for Hernandez. Guatemala had something in transition there. Hernandez made sure that they did not. See players starting to struggle with the sun. But Costa Rica able to settle it with 2 minutes to go. Sosa. Hernandez, full of confidence. That one overshot for Sosa, who made an acrobatic attempt to keep it in. Guatemala needs something very soon if they're to snatch something from this Group B opener. Marvin Avila creates something. He jinks past one. He lays it off on the right. Only Avila to aim for in the box, though, and he's surrounded by red shirts. That's been the story for much of the afternoon for Guatemala. They've had some moments of threat and danger. They did have the one effort cleared off the line. Partly because of the red card, they just have not been able to attack in enough numbers. Costa Rica looking to finish it off with the second goal. Ethan Barley. Now it's Kenar Hernandez laying it off. Yerlan Sosa. Approaching second half stoppage time. Guatemala free kick. As we tick past 90 minutes, we will have 4 more, says fourth official Eric De La Cruz. Paulo Arriaga struggling with something at the end of this game. These Guatemalan players put so much effort into it, defending with 10 for a long time. Took a special strike from Kenar Hernandez to beat their goalkeeper and perhaps beat Guatemala. Arriaga looking like he might not be able to continue, at least at full capacity. Now a race. And just able to do enough to get back was Jorge Gonzalez. Looked like Ethan Barley might beat him there. Gonzalez had to use his shoulder and his positioning. Sagastume. It's been a frustrating game for Sylvain Sagastume, their captain. He's not been able to thread passes through, with his team short of manpower. Arriaga still looks like he's struggling with that injury he picked up a moment ago, but he's staying out there to try to finish this game. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining at least. Still time for Guatemala to grab something. It would be quite dramatic if they did. Costa Rica have looked comfortable since taking the lead, but Sagastume tries to change that. Great switched ball out to this right side, and then the cutback attempt just was not connected with cleanly. And unfortunately for Guatemala, the chances and half chances that they've had in this game, they've not been able to take. Not found the right ball in the right moment. And unfortunately, you need at least one of those moments if you're going to get something in a game like this. Guatemala get this free kick as we're into the fourth and likely final minute of stoppage time. Is there any dramatic late twist left in this one? With the shadows nearly exactly halfway across the pitch. Costa Rica are nearly all the way home in this one, but not quite. Lifted to this far side one more time. Header back is hacked away by Emmanuel Brenes, who cleared that shot off the line in about the 58th minute from Omar Bolaños that could have changed this entire game. But he kept it out, and about 20 minutes after that, Costa Rica finally found their goal at the other end. One more late throw for Guatemala. Would they launch one into the area here? Not really. At the edge of the box, they still have it though, but they're crowded out. Costa Rica will try to keep it from here. We've had the 4 minutes. There's no free kick there. Guatemala may have one more chance. Costa Rica screaming for a foul. They aren't getting it. Guatemala have to go, and this has to go in for them. Raked back to this right side. Doesn't reach its man. It spins off the Guatemala player last. It's a throw for Costa Rica. And that might be that. Adonis Carrasco, very close to blowing for full time, you would think. This is down for Arana. Is there still time for Guatemala? It's Guatemala's throw. But that's all. It is over. And Costa Rica do enough in this Group B opener. It took them a long time to find the goal, but find it they did, because Kenar Hernandez lashed one in from 25 yards in the 77th minute to finally kick down that Guatemalan door after Los Chapines had defended so well and really had frustrated Costa Rica in the second half especially, up until that magical moment from Hernandez. And this game is all about moments, and short tournaments like this are all about moments. Costa Rica found their moment today, and it's one that puts them in a good spot at the start of Group B. A group that also includes Mexico, of course. Guatemala in a tough spot now taking no points from this opener, still having to face Mexico and Antigua and Barbuda. But Los Ticos favored coming in. They leave with the 3 points. It finishes today in Puebla in this opening match in the Concacaf Men's U20 Championships. Costa Rica 1, Guatemala 0.
Bienvenido Keiner Hernández de la selección de Costa Rica. Keiner, una victoria importantísima en el inicio de este campeonato.
Bueno, sí, siempre es importante empezar ganando. Es un rival bastante difícil y no, seguir trabajando siempre.
¿Cómo analizas tú el desarrollo del partido?
No, la verdad es que es un partido muy trabado, que tuvimos bastantes opciones de gol, pero bastante bien, sí.
¿Cuál crees tú que fue el éxito para conseguir esta victoria?
No, luchar hasta el final, estar unidos como grupo.
¿Le dedicas a alguien tu anotación?
A mi abuelo, que está en el cielo.
Felicitaciones.
Gracias.
Keiner Hernandez dedicating that goal to his grandmother who's in heaven, he said. Talking about how tough the opponent was today. We'll hear from a Guatemalan player in just a moment.
Bienvenido Selvin Sagastume de la selección de Guatemala. Selvin, un partido muy exigente donde se luchó hasta el final, pero lamentablemente no se logró la victoria.
Sí, la verdad que sí, un partido muy complicado. Nosotros sabíamos que iba a ser así. Se nos complicó con la expulsión, pero bueno, nos quedan 2 partidos más y nada, a darlo todo y buscar para poder clasificar, para jugarnos el boleto.
Como dice Selvin, a sobreponerse de este partido y ahora trabajar duro para poder buscar una victoria para el siguiente rival.
Sí, toca ver el análisis, ver en lo que estamos fallando y ver lo que tenemos que mejorar y nada, ¿verdad? Pues prepararnos ya para el siguiente partido.
Muchas gracias, Selvin.
Sagastume saying they could be better, that they, of course, made things more complicated for themselves with the expulsion. They fought well. We'll see our highlights and our match statistics in just a moment. It was really a fascinating game in this opener in the Concacaf U20 Championship. We had to wait a while for the actual goal, but there were tons of talking points in the lead up to that. It was a strong start from Costa Rica. They forced an early save out of Alvaro Medrano on this clean strike from distance. It would be, I guess, a foreshadowing of things to come later on. This ball somehow stayed out later in the first half, a ball that deflected off the defender and then spun all the way along the goal line, but never went in. And it seemed for a while that the stars were aligning for Guatemala to get something from this game because moments like that were going their way. But they did go down to 10 men, of course, in the 32nd minute. And they held out for a long time. And in the second half, frankly, they'd been the better side for long stretches. They were causing some issues for Costa Rica. And this was their big chance to really turn the game in their favor. After the giveaway by Costa Rica, it was Omar Bolaños who rounded the goalkeeper and then thought he'd found a finish when this ball left his foot, but it was a key block from Emmanuel Brenes, the man who had given the ball away in the first place. And so Costa Rica, although they weren't creating a lot, they did create this chance that perhaps should have been taken by Dax Palmer as he put it high and wide. But just when it looked like Guatemala were going to at least hold out and maybe somehow snatch a win themselves, as O'Rourke had to push that aside. They were creating more counters as well, but they just didn't have enough numbers in the attack. You see here just one white shirt to aim for in the box. And so Sebastian Bini's men were fighting, but eventually their resistance would be broken. This was the first warning shot as it rippled the outside of the net from Kenar Hernandez. It's cliche to talk about setting your sights as a shooter from distance, and then later, well, the sights would be set. From this direct clearance, it came to Hernandez, and he hammered it into the far corner. It looked and sounded like it took a slight nick off someone on its way in, but either way, it's a great strike, a sweet strike. And from Costa Rica's perspective, a delicious strike that hands them all 3 points in a tough game against a tough opponent. It was going to take something special, and something special arrived, and he might be something special for Costa Rica as well. Kenar Hernandez, straight from kickoff. Guatemala the other way, and Marvin Avila, who was their main threat today, put one straight at the goalkeeper for one of the only saves Ian O'Rourke had to make this afternoon. Costa Rica get it across the line and take all 3 in this Group B opener. So the final numbers from this one, 15-8 the shots in favor of Costa Rica. Just 3 on target, but one was good enough when it was as good as that one from Kenar Hernandez. They were called for 19 fouls, Costa Rica, but again, the red card in the first half was the key moment for Guatemala. That forced them into making life so much more difficult for themselves over the rest of the day. So the Group B standings after just one match look like this. Costa Rica at the top. Mexico and Antigua and Barbuda will take to this pitch momentarily for a kickoff in about an hour from now, as Mexico will look to join Costa Rica at the top of Group B. We appreciate you joining us for this one, and we encourage you to stay with Concacaf for the next couple weeks. It's going to be a fantastic tournament. Looking forward to bringing it all to you. For our great production team, I'm Donnie Barnes. Good afternoon for now from Puebla, Mexico, where again it finished Costa Rica 1, Guatemala 0.